guys for joining me. Now, today, what I wanted to talk about was Happy New Year, first of all, and also let's recap 2022. We had a surprisingly good year. You know, sometimes you think, man, this year's really sucked as far as new movies and franchises. But you take the time to go back and look at all of the things that have come out, and you're like, wow, this year actually has been pretty great. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to reflect and just go through all of my favorite films from 2022. And I'll be really interested to hear what your favorite films were as well. Drop a comment down in the chat section so we can talk about your favorite films. All right, guys, to kick it off, I have a lot of favorite films, but one that has been kind of in the news a lot lately has been Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Black Adam film. This film, the controversy is endless with DC. It never ends, man. It's like, what's Ezra Miller doing now? Is Henry Cavill back as Superman? When's Wonder Woman 3 coming out? What's James Gunn gonna do? It's like nonstop, and I'm sure you guys can relate. And one of the things that has been in the news recently is the fact that James Gunn will no longer, he's not inviting The Rock back into the DCU, at least in the initial stages. You know, they peaky promise that Black Adam will be back eventually, which I think is probably a good idea. Hey, Faith and Misery, Happy New Year to you. I think that's a great idea. Dwayne Johnson put a lot of effort into promoting that film, into building up the hype, and that kind of fueled my excitement for the film whenever I went to go see it, which is exactly what he meant to do. But then again, you go see it and you get what you get, right? The film was not great. I was excited to see it. There were some great action parts in the film. The little kid in the film drove me crazy. I don't know about you guys, but this kid was so annoying. You could have, I get it. They wanted an emotional connection between Black Adam and the kid. And I did like his catchphrase that kind of paid off at the end. That was kind of fun. But for the most part, you could have taken the kid out of the movie, and it probably would have been a better movie, in my opinion at least. But the bottom line is, you guys, is that I had a good time. There were a lot of cringe moments and a lot of things we've kind of already seen before, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed myself at the theater, and that's kind of what movies are. It's escapism. It's an experience. You go to experience the films. That's what I do. And I enjoyed Black Adam for that reason specifically. It was fun to watch. It might have not have been, he's not going to win any awards for best acting or screenplay or writing or literally anything else, unless there's one for best promotion, because like I said, he knocked it out of the park. Who knows what they spent on promoting that movie? That was insane. But in my opinion, Black Adam was a fun film to watch, so it was kind of a standout for me last year. Now, it's nowhere near the top of my list. Guys, let me know in the chat, what did you think about Black Adam? Am I way off right now? Am I taking crazy pills? Let me know what you thought about Black Adam. But to say that it was anywhere near the top of my list would be insanity. There were other films that I enjoyed far more. I don't want to get to my favorite film in 2022 yet, so let's talk about another film that I thought was really, really fun to watch. Not going to win any awards, but for me, I really enjoyed watching it. And that was Jackass Forever. This one flew under a lot of people's radar because maybe you're just not into that kind of thing. I grew up watching the Jackass films. I watched them on MTV. I watched the series like Steve-O and Party Boy, BAM series, follow Johnny Knoxville. It's just entertaining. There's, nothing special. It's the internet at its best, basically, right? And so revisiting that all these years later was a really, really great experience for me. Like I said, also nowhere near the top of my list, but something I really enjoyed watching. Another film that was, for me, fun to watch because I was kind of surprised throughout the entire film at what they were doing with these characters, or not doing for that matter. But Thor: Love and Thunder came in hot, wearing its freak flag. It did not care what anybody thought. It did what it came to do at, to mixed reception, right? I enjoyed the film. I laughed a lot during the film, but also I was conscious that they were really, I wouldn't say ruining the franchise, but they went a very strong direction in one way. When I think a lot of fans are ready for the franchise to go in a different direction after Ragnarok. Now, the disservice they did to Christian Bale still keeps me up at night. His character could have been fleshed out so much better. The potential he brings to the table as an actor is enormous. He's amazing. And the story between him and his daughter, and then him coming back to exact revenge on the gods, which we never really saw happen. Like, he killed the first god in the beginning, and then we found the body of another god, and then it wasn't that great. Look, they did Christian Bale dirty. Let's just be honest. But the comedy also took a very, very steep turn to kind of like silly, right? And look, I get a tolerance for silly comedy. I can enjoy that stuff. It's fun to watch, but it's not my favorite, you know? And especially for a character like Thor. Like, Ragnarok was a great balance. Some people, that even turned off a little bit. But Love and Thunder really went a certain way. And then we have Jane Foster's Thor, Mighty Thor. Man, that could have been done so much differently. There's so many reasons why this movie could have carried an enormous amount of emotional weight. But it didn't. Instead, we have Mjolnir being jealous of Thor, and we have Thor giving his powers literally to like 30 kids who somehow just immediately know how to fight and like destroy like all these monsters. It's just like, you guys know, it failed on a lot of levels for a lot of people. But, and I will say, I've seen it twice, right? So that should tell you how much I enjoyed it. It was okay. It was okay, but it was a nice little departure. Escapism, right? I keep going back to that. Something else I enjoyed this year was kind of a breakout hit that no one saw coming. No one expected it to be as good as it was. And it didn't even get a theatrical release. I'm talking about Prey. This movie would have made money at the box office. It would have. Word of mouth, people. Right, you know, as much as I hate to admit it, Rotten Tomatoes is there for a reason. You know, we all go look at the score and we're like, oh, how's this look? Or I look at the audience scores, to be honest with you. Critics, whatever. But between word of mouth and that, I really think this could have pulled a big enough audience in to turn a profit at least, and maybe, who knows, maybe kick off a franchise. Now, I hope Hulu returns to the Prey franchise because, in my opinion, it's the best Predator film we've gotten since the first Predator film, which, still, King of the Hill, but also really great. I love seeing it in that time period. And what if that's what we did? What if we spent time in that time period and then jumped ahead X amount of years? Maybe we see the Predators, you know, at several different time periods throughout history. I think that's really, really interesting. Why wouldn't we do that? I would pay to see that. I would go to the theaters to see that, to see how humans evolved, especially as far as our weaponry and things of that nature goes. How did the Predators adapt to that? I mean, they come in hot with a lot more advanced weapons than us. And I'm going to guess that this time was one of the first times, you know, like, how do you get beat by a girl with a bow and arrow if you're the Predator and you have laser guns and stuff, or whatever that is? That's the only really, like, debatable part of the film for me. It's just like, is this realistic to think that this would actually happen? These guys are called Predators. I did like in the film, however, how he kind of evaluated different species. He saw what was it, a snake and a rat, and then a wolf and the snake, and he was just kind of working his way up the food chain, essentially. So maybe that was their first time on Earth. Really interesting to me, though. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I would watch another Prey movie today. What else here? Something else I liked a lot. You guys, let me know if you guys watched this. This got mixed reactions as well, some feedback, but I really enjoyed The Woman King. Man, talk about bringing bringing some heart to the table. This film was really, really fun to watch. For me, I was really invested in the characters. There's a death in the film that I almost kicked the seat in front of me when it happened. I was so disappointed because I loved that character and I wanted that character to stick around for future films. Um, but overall, just the I mean, literally every. I don't want to give too many spoilers away in case you haven't seen it, but I thought the film was really well made. I was really invested in the characters. I enjoyed the journey the film took me on, and when you have a character death that hits you like that, you know, like you've built some investment in these characters. Viola Davis is a boss, but what's new, right? She is insane. She's such a powerhouse actor. Um, I would love to see her get a nomination for that film. I mean, she like really brought it. It was really fun to watch. The whole film, in my opinion, was really fun. There was a little bit of controversy on the back end, just as far as the tribe they decided to go with, like how historically accurate the film depicting the tribe uh, was. Apparently, the tribe was far more active in human trafficking than they led on to believe in the film. Which for me, whatever. It's not a historical documentary. You know, pull from here, pull from here. Use your creative. Um, be creative and make it your own. I'm not fact checking the movies I watch. I'm sorry, that's not why I go to the theater. I'm not trolling movies and being like, wait, this isn't accurate. That's not why I'm here, guys. That's not why I buy the ticket. So that didn't affect my viewing at all. But let me know what you guys think. Another look. This film resonated with me more than any other film in 2022. I think, and I thought about it. A day later, I woke up the next day thinking about this film. A few days later, still popping in and out of my head. A week later, even now, I'm still thinking about this film. And you guys are going to think I'm crazy. But I really, really loved The Menu. If you haven't seen this, this was so fun to me. I'm a bit of a foodie. I like upscale restaurants. I like trying to recreate upscale restaurant dishes in my home. It's like a little hobby for me. I no, I'm not nearly as emphatic about it as the people that were in this movie, obviously. Like, which I loved. I loved. It was so relatable. But the the film in general, I really really enjoyed because I hadn't quite seen anything like that before, and I liked the tropes they were playing with. But the ending, I never saw coming. I was like, what's gonna happen? All the way up until the boat's literally driving off into the distance and the movie's over. I was like, is this how it's gonna end? Is this what we're watching right now? It was crazy. I was so invested in that show. Um, or in that movie. It was really fun. And I don't know why, but I only went to go see it once. Why didn't I go back to see that? Um I would certainly go back to see it again. Or I will watch it at home for sure. But I really, really enjoyed the film for whatever reason, and I can't necessarily tell you why, other than the fact that I enjoyed the actors, and I enjoyed how I didn't know what was going to happen next throughout the entire film. I was like constantly guessing, and the banter between the kitchen and the customers or the diners, whatever you want to call them, was hilarious. The diners had no idea what the hell was going on either. Even and then you know how it plays out if you've seen it. I don't want to spoil it, but something I really, really enjoyed a lot. Now, another film that caught me totally off guard, out of left field. I had no idea what I was walking into with this film, and this film, a big commitment from the viewer, as far as I'm concerned, because it's not an English speaking film, and it's 3 hours long. Guys, I haven't watched anything with subtitles but anime in my entire life. I've never watched a film just straight subtitles. I've watched live action series that are subtitled, but never a film for whatever reason. The international market just never really, I never gravitated towards the international market as far as film goes. I don't know if it's just a little bit less relatable to me or what, but RRR caught me so off guard in one of the best ways ever. This film is outrageous. Like the action in this film, things I've never seen before. Literally, things I've never even thought of watching before in a film. And it's not like enormous stakes action. It's not like Avengers Endgame level stakes where the fate of the universe is dependent on it. But it's like a guy fighting a tiger or a guy, running headfirst into an enormous crowd uh, to drag back one single dude and fight his way through like a million people. It was so fun to watch. Things I've never seen before. The Bollywood aspects. There's like a dance off in this that I was invested in. What? How is that even possible? I'm not that guy. I'm not the type of guy that I didn't watch whatever all those dance movies were. Like Bring It On and stuff like that. Like I didn't watch that stuff. That's not my thing. But I was super invested in RRR. There was never a point in the film when I was like, man, this feels really long, which wasn't the case with some other films that I watched this year. A couple other films when I was like, man, this is still going. It was rough to watch. RR, not so much. If you guys haven't checked it out, give it a shot. It's not for everybody, but if it is for you and you don't know it, you can thank me later. So speaking of one of those films that kind of, in my mind, felt like it could have been a little bit shorter, but was still a great film, especially cinematically. This is probably the best looking film that came out this year, and that's going to be The Batman. The Batman. The Batman was literally the most atmospheric, fun to watch film that I've seen this year. Talk about setting a mood, man. Matt Reeves can set a mood. It was and that not just visually, but with sound as well. This had one of the funnest Batman reveals of any Batman movie. The first time we see him on screen was very fun. They really sold Gotham as being its own kind of character in the film. The fear aspect that Pattinson brought to this role was really, really fun to watch. Paul Dano as the Riddler? Come on, let's go. It was great. And the Batmobile, guys, the Batmobile was its own character in this film. That thing was terrifying. The first time he turns it on, oh, I don't know what format screen you watched it on, but I was in a premium screen, and when that Batmobile came on, like it reverberated through my chest like I was at a concert or something. Like it was literally exhilarating. Like I was like, oh, so fun to watch. Except, Catwoman was great, right? Colin Farrell's The Penguin was literally mind-boggling. Um, but yeah, the film was long, man, and it dragged in a few areas. And you can be invested, and you can be engaged as much as possible. But after a certain point, you're just like, let's go, get on with it. I don't know what they could have cut. I'm not the director or editor for the Batman, but I know what my experience was. And for me, it could have been shorter, a little bit more fast paced, and I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. The Batman was amazing, but it's not my number one pick for 2022. I'd be interested to hear what your guys' number one picks are for 2022, though. Drop a comment and let me know exactly how you feel about my list so far. Something else I liked a lot. Well, look, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, there were a lot of expectations going into that. I mean, a lot. And a lot of those were unfortunately spoiled before the film ever came out. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I knew which members of the Illuminati were going to show up. I knew that Wanda was the villain. I knew America Chavez was a huge part of the film. Now, you may not have your ear to the ground the way I do, but if you do, look, I got my hopes up for the Illuminati scene, and we got what we got. And that was a creative choice for them, but those characters deserved a little bit more than what they got, in my opinion. They were literally put out to slaughter. There was very, very little character development. I was not invested in any of those characters. Literally, Patrick Stewart there's an immediate investment there because we've seen it in other films. Um, Reed Richards, that everybody else, yeah, who cares? It's whatever, right? They just kill him in a cool way, basically. Peggy is Cat. That was really fun to see for all 5 seconds that she was on, she was alive in the movie. I liked Black Bolt. I liked the way it showed him kind of taking out their universe's Doctor Strange. That was fun to watch. But mind you, the Illuminati portion lasted like 5% of the film. The majority of the film, we're walking in Wanda's shoes, or in American Chavez's shoes, or Doctor Strange's shoes. We get to see a few alternate universe Doctor Stranges, which is really fun. This was, however, in no way the multiverse of madness that I thought it would be. I loved a lot of things about it. This is controversial, but I love the fight between Doctor Strange's with the music notes and stuff. That was creative. That's something I hadn't seen before. A lot of people were like, "Well, that was dumb." I actually was like, "This is pretty cool." Um, but that's just me, you know. Like I enjoyed the film for what it was, but there were a lot of misses in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness for me. The general audience, I think, liked it pretty well. Um, Me, it fell about here. You know what I mean? Right about here. Another Marvel film out this year, Black Panther. Again, for me, a lot of people just absolutely love Black Panther. This film, I had problems with. I liked Namor. I liked Shuri as Black Panther. Whatever. I didn't get to see enough M'Baku. I hated the way Okoye was outcast. That was just like unforgivable. When that happened, I almost checked out of the movie. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm not on board with this. I don't like this. Okoye has been whatever. They done her dirty, right? She got done dirty. Um, so much for the film was great. Now the final battle between Shuri and Namor, I didn't necessarily like either. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was a long enough battle. I didn't think it was as visually appealing as I wanted it to be. We didn't. There wasn't a whole lot to it, to be honest. Um, then there's the question like, how was Shuri Black Panther? Why wasn't like she's known as being the one of, if not the smartest people in the MCU. She's got no. She doesn't have skills. She doesn't have physical skills. She's not a good fighter. That's why she made those blasters to ranged weapons at a distance. You know, she's not a physical threat. And Namor in the comics is a huge physical threat. This guy, like, if he's on the scene, he gets attention, right? Like, he's a huge character to bring to the table. And to, in my mind, do him a little dirty like that, I just wasn't on board for it. So, but that tribute to Chadwick Boseman, though, spot on, amazing, loved it. I can't wait for the next Black Panther movie. Wakanda Forever, though, for me, didn't fire on all cylinders. It was good, but not great, in my opinion. Um, what else did we have last year? This is out of nowhere. Look, The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. This is the quintessential type of movie that I don't watch. This is like, do you want to see a romantic comedy or something like? I'm just like, no, it's played out. I'm over watching Channing Tatum. Like this whole trope with the same actor. It's the same actor in every damn romantic comedy. It's like, and it's always the fairly same screenplay and stuff. The reason I ended up watching this was because I seen Daniel Radcliffe was in it, and I was like, okay. And I actually kind of like Sandra Bullock, so I literally don't usually watch Channing Tatum movies intentionally because I'm not here for it. But and I seen Brad Pitt made an appearance. The trailer was damn funny, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I'm glad I did. It was a hilarious ass movie. This movie was funny. I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch, right? That's the point. Um, but that's just me. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was fun to watch. I thought Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum had a good chemistry. I like they're both great comedic actors. Channing Tatum has really grown as an actor over the years. I have saw that much. Sandra Bullock, amazing as always. Daniel Radcliffe, hell yeah, let's go. Ben Affleck, I don't know what I'm thinking. Brad Pitt popping in for what's essentially just like a long cameo. It reminded me of Deadpool, his Deadpool cameo, which it was longer, a lot longer than the Deadpool cameo. Um, but yeah, here for it. Enjoyed it. Liked the movie. What do you guys think? My list literally insane. And have I was I asleep for the entire year of 2022, or are you guys kind of on the same page as me? Let me know what you think in the chat. I'll go ahead and get to it though, you guys. For me, look, we just had Avatar drop 14 years after the first one. How does that happen? Anyway, yeah, I get it. They say we had to wait on technological advances and stuff like that. Okay, fine. 14 years later, the film's just passed $1 billion at the box office after 2 weeks. Insane, right? That's insane. Now, Avatar is not my number one film of the year, but it was good. I enjoyed it. It's another film that I felt like could have been condensed a little bit more. A lot of the film was spent just saying, "Look at me," and I get it. We need those moments where we can appreciate Pandora, but man, we had a lot of those moments. But overall, I enjoyed it. We're gonna get another, a third, maybe a fourth and fifth. But at this rate, if it has legs, look, the first Avatar movie had legs. Its opening weekend, it only pulled like $70 million. It was not. It was not a Spider-Man No Way Home with 100+ million opening weekend. It was an average opening weekend, but it had legs, dude. This one, Way of Water, I don't think it's gonna have that kind of legs. We're not gonna see it, with minimal decreases in over the weeks and stuff. I don't think it's gonna have the legs. It's already past $1 billion. I don't think it's going to hit $2 billion, but let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong? Do you guys think it would hit $2 billion? Let me know what you think. Now, Avatar was good. Still not my favorite. Still not my favorite of 2022. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm going to say Top Gun Maverick. But no, Top Gun Maverick was also not my favorite film of the year. Even though it was literally everyone else's. Like, Top Gun Maverick was the highest grossing, it had the highest grossing worldwide box office of the year. Let that sink in. That's insane. Insane. Tom Cruise out of nowhere, man. And he did the right thing. When the pandemic started, this film was ready to go. And he said, no, we're setting on this film until the industry opens back up again. He could have released it on a streaming service. He could have put it on VOD and just cut his losses. He didn't. He waited. He waited until the market was ready, put it back out, and that's what you get. You get almost $1.5 billion for a sequel to a film that came out when? 1 million years ago. That's when. Like, that is insanely impressive. But it's still not my number one film of the year. Like, can we mention real quick too? Maverick was basically Star Wars. It's like, go and shoot this thing into this little thing, just like the Death Star at the end of the first Star Wars. And they never even told us who the enemy was in the movie. That's how crazy this is. Like, Goose's kid looks just like him, has the same mustache, wears the same shirts, and just so happens to play the same song when he sits down at a piano. Doesn't matter. Top grossing film worldwide for 2022. But my favorite film of 2022, and I'm really interested to know if you guys are on the same page with me or not. My favorite film of 2022 was Everything Everywhere All at Once. This film absolutely blew my mind. Literally. Literally. I say going to the theaters or watching a film in general is an experience, right? It's escapism. You get to detach from the normal world and invest in an alternate reality for 2 to 3 hours, it's amazing. And I didn't enjoy my experience with any other film more than with this one in 2022. The show is amazing. The cast, look, I'm just going to say, the cast is amazing. Oh man, amazing. Not knowing what to expect next, for me, is one of the funnest experiences at a theater. And when you hear the name Multiverse of Madness, when I hear that, I don't think of Doctor Strange. I think of Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was the best multiverse movie of the year, by far. This film took me places I didn't know I needed to go. It showed me things I didn't know I could see, didn't know was out there, didn't know was a possibility. I cried because of a nonverbal conversation between two rocks. I cried. Like the directing and editing, the cinematic value this film brought to the theater was incredible. The emotional connection was there. Now I say I cried during that scene. I cried during multiple scenes in this film. This was, for me, bar none, by far, the best film of the year. Gosh, so good. I want to go watch it again right now. I'm so stoked talking about it. Guys, let me know what you guys think in the chat or in the comments. What was your top 5 films of 2022? Tell me your top 10. You guys already know I respond to every comment. Let me know what you guys thought about 2022 overall as a moviegoer. How does it rank compared to the last few years? And the pandemic's been rough, but I think this film treated us a lot better than I thought it did, or than I like to remember it did. But guys, I want to thank you for joining my live stream, first live stream. Thank you very much. Make sure you comment so in 10 years we can look back and be like, yeah, you were there for my first live stream. But yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.